Hey there my meaty friends, this is Reed, aka CarnivorousChef, aka Kabob. Today's video is more for a celebration and technique than it is a recipe. What am I celebrating? I just hit 10,000 followers on Instagram. If you follow me on there, thank you for being a part of my life and adventures. I've had the account for 2 years now and my life is much different than what it was when I started. I really hope you're enjoying it as well. I'm also close to hitting 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which I'm pretty excited about as well. If you have suggestions as to what you'd like me to see to do for 10,000 followers special, leave that in the comments. But for now, I want to celebrate my Instagram 10K followers by doing something for myself. I decided to go camping and make myself a little dinner at the campground. This isn't anything special, but it is absolutely delicious. These land, sea, and air kebabs are going to hit the spot. Start off with some sort of beef. I suggest ribeye, sirloin, tenderloin, or something like this Terrace Major that I'm using here. This is just the tender part of the chuck, and it's super beefy. Clean up the silver skin and dice it up into bite-sized pieces. I season this with some SPG plus butter from GRILLAHOLICS. Go check them out at GRILLAHOLICS.com and use my coupon code TRASHCHEESE to save 20% off your entire order. Mix this up and set it aside. If you're wondering how I'm keeping my hands clean, I have plenty of paper towels, all natural surface cleaner, and some hand sanitizer. So try not to worry about my food safety here if you are. For the air part of the skewers, I use chicken tenderloins. I season these up with the same seasoning as the beef, but I also went with about a half teaspoon of smoked paprika. Mix that up, and now we can move to the sea part of this kebab. For that, we're using shrimp. If you have your shrimp in a Ziploc bag, just throw some of the seasoning directly on top with about a quarter teaspoon of Old Bay. You'll ideally want all of these meats to rest and marinate for about 15 minutes before adding them to your skewers. Speaking of skewers, mine are way too long. I don't have a grill or an area to make a fire here, so I'm just going to use a saute pan and a burner. Just break your skewers down to fit in your pan. Nice. Now let's get ready for our mantra. Land, sea, air. Got it? Ready? Go. Land, sea, air. Land, sea, air. Land, sea, air. Land, sea, air. And done. Place a pan over medium-high heat and add in about 1 tablespoon of oil of choice. The way to cook these is until the chicken is done. If you want to do what I did, I stuck a thermometer in and pulled it once the chicken was at 150 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. By the time it was done, my steak was medium and my shrimp was perfectly cooked. Repeat cooking all of these until they're all done. I brought along some soy sauce and sriracha to make a sauce. With your pan off and still hot, add in 2 tablespoons of soy sauce or liquid aminos and scrape the fond off the bottom of the pan. Once it's calmed down, add in a tablespoon of sriracha and mix well. I decided mine needed a little bit more flavor, so I added a quarter teaspoon of onion powder to this. And that's it. Instead of commentating on how good this is, I'll let you assume that it is, because it is.
Here we go again, grinding some pork rinds. Luckily it's not an absolutely necessary step. You can always just crush them up in the bag, but I was feeling extra and needed to use the food processor anyways. I hope you enjoyed that thumbs up transition. Anyways, let's get to the meat of the video. In your food processor, you're going to want to add in 1 pound of ground chicken. Yeah. Okay. Next up, add in 2 eggs along with about a quarter teaspoon of fresh ground nutmeg. You'll want to use fresh just so you can get this awesome cross section. Blend this on low for about 1 minute. Place a gallon Ziploc bag into a cup and scoop in your noodle mixture. Refrigerate this while we prep some prosciutto. Meticulously remove the plastic from your prosciutto and just rip it up completely. We want to give this a nice rough chop. We'll be mixing this in with the cheese sauce and using some for the topping. Speaking of topping, let's get some Parmesan cheese shredded. You'll need about 2 to 3 tablespoons worth of it. Grind over a little more fresh nutmeg and then set this aside. For whatever reason, sharp shredded cheddar and sharp cheddar blocks weren't available at my store, so I had to get slices and shred it myself. Feel free to get a block or some pre-shredded stuff. Or dice it like I'm doing, I don't control your life. Let's quickly make this topping. You'll need 2 tablespoons of pork rinds, all of your Parmesan, a little pinch of your cheddar, a good quarter teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, and a quarter teaspoon of smoked paprika. Give this a toss and set aside. Let's get started on the cheese portion of this mac and cheese now. Set up a double boiler and add in 1 cup of heavy cream, all of your cheddar, half of your prosciutto, and something called creme de brie. We'll need about 2 ounces of it. Again, for whatever reason, my store didn't have any wheels of brie cheese left, but they had this. Turn the heat to medium on your stove and begin to whisk. You can add all of your ingredients at once here because they all come up to temp at the same time, so the cheese shouldn't break. Hopefully, while you've been making that, you've had a pan of water heating over medium-high heat. Take your bag of chicken goo and cut a corner off. What you're going to want to do here is to apply even pressure at the top of the bag, and using a spoon, knife, or fork, cut about 1/2-inch pieces. Once you have half of your batter cut into your water, give it a stir and let it cook for 1 to 2 minutes. Once done, place into a paper towel lined plate and let drain. Repeat until all of your batter has been used. Learning from my last video, we want to get some of the extra water out. Place your chicken noodles onto a lined sheet pan and season with salt. Place this into an oven that's been set to 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes. This will help create a better texture later on. Grab your bowl of cheese and dump in your noodles and fold it in. I definitely didn't accidentally make too much cheese sauce. Grab a cooking vessel of choice and place your cheesy chicken noodles into it. Add in the remainder of your creme de brie or brie cheese in dollops around the entire dish. Next, top with your pork rind topping. And finally, scatter the remainder of your chopped up prosciutto. Place this into an oven that's been set to 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes or until the prosciutto is crispy. I top mine with an optional sprinkling of chives.
Hey there, my meaty friends. This is Reed, aka CarnivorousChef. Back during Thanksgiving, I made a cornbread stuffing / dressing, and the beginning step was its cornbread. I just wanted to make a standalone video for it, and I was thinking of doing a roasted jalapeno and cheddar cornbread, but ended up going with a bacon and cheddar, just because it also sounded good. But please feel free to go ahead and try that roasted jalapeno and cheddar cornbread. Obviously, this isn't going to have the flavor of cornbread, but it definitely has the texture, which is just insane to me. Maybe you can add some corn extract for the flavor, but I'll let you make that decision. I had a hard time finding ground chicken, so I had to grind my own. I'm actually not complaining too much about this because I at least know what was in this ground chicken. Just chicken breast. If you're grinding your own, I suggest double grinding it. Whichever you choose, place 1 pound of ground chicken into a pan over medium-high heat and cook until no pink remains. Once done, set aside and pull out a blender cup. I added everything in layers by starting with 2 eggs, then my ground chicken, followed by 2 more eggs, then 6 ounces of ground pork rinds, then 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and finally, the last 2 eggs. This is going to be super thick, so grab a half cup of water or chicken stock to help break this up if needed. You'll probably need at least half of it. Blend until homogeneous on low. I placed my mixture back into my already dirty pan that I cooked my chicken in to mix it up. I added in 4 strips of chopped up bacon and about 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. Take your damn dirty mitts and mix this together. Spin as long as it takes, but it'll take at least 3 minutes. Once done, grab a baking dish of some sort. I went with a 9-inch pie pan and then added in 1 tablespoon of ghee, but feel free to use butter. Use your disgusting hands to grease it up and then flop your chick cornbread into this and spread it out. Just make it as even as possible. Place this onto a baking sheet and into an oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for 40 to 50 minutes or until nice and golden brown. It's golden brown thanks to all the bacteria on those dirty hands of yours. JK, it's the oils from the ghee and cheese helping it all caramelize. Let it cool off for about 10 minutes before releasing from your pan and cutting it up. Feel free to keep yours in the pan and cut it up if you want. Either way, take a couple tablespoons of softened salted butter and smear it all over the top, and voila! It's amazing that it has the texture and crumble of cornbread. I'd say the chicken has a lot to do with this, and the pork rinds are just filler. However, I think you still need the pork rinds. If you try this without the pork rinds, comment below to let me know how it went.
The first one we will call the base of our ice creams. You'll need 1/2 cup of erythritol, 1 cup of heavy cream, a 1/2 cup of whole milk, and a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Set your heat to medium-high and let's start to simmer this. Oops, also need a very small pinch of salt. All we want to happen here is for the outside of the mixture to start bubbling up. Once it has, remove it from the heat. Next, let's crack a few eggs into a bowl just so we can have a little fun. Separate your egg yolks and your egg whites. I'm sorry if this doesn't fit your definition of fun, but I'm just having a blast doing this. Just look at how gooey and not annoying it is. The next step is to temper your yolks. Pour in about 1/4 cup of your hot milk and cream mixture and mix it in well with your yolks. Once fully incorporated, add in about a half cup of your mixture. Repeat this until all of your mixture has been whisked in. What you're left with should be a milky mixture and not sweet-ass scrambled eggs. If you've got sweet-ass scrambled eggs, start over and take it even slower. Next, we need a vessel to freeze this in. I recommend something shallow and metal. I have a hotel pan here, but a bread loaf pan would work well. Here's the first thing that I learned is that you should ideally be doing this with an ice cream maker. I do not own one of these, so I just winged it and whisked it every hour. That's where I also learned that you need to whisk it every hour. This turned into an ice block. The last lesson that I learned is that sugar substitutes don't act the same as sugar. Go figure. If you happen to do what I do, just break up the chunks of ice and stir it back in. It will return to a relatively creamy state later on. Just gotta be patient with it. And me, considering I'm making this video. Alright, now that we have our base, let's just make another flavor. I wanted to keep all the flavors relatively neutral and or interesting. For the coffee ice cream, follow the exact same instructions as you did for the vanilla until it comes to the extract. This time, add in only a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, along with 1 packet of instant coffee or 1 tablespoon. I found this at Walmart for $1 for a pack of 6, and it actually worked out very well for this recipe. I highly doubt it's good for coffee, but go for it if you're feeling gross about yourself. So, yolks, temper, store, freeze, stir, and serve. This next one's a little different and is more animal-based rather than carnivore. Or it is carnivore unless you're carnivore and triggered by honey. Describe it however you need to, I don't care. For this one, you need 1/3 cup of honey instead of erythritol, and then 1 cup of heavy cream, a half cup of milk, a pinch of salt, temper your eggs, and let's get to the flavor of this one. Beef liver and lemon. Take a 1/4 pound of your beef liver and the juice of 1 lemon and blend it for about 1 minute. Strain through a mesh strainer and mix it into your mixture. Store, mix, serve. The vanilla turned out a bit icy, but that was expected. The coffee was very creamy, but was melting faster than butter does on my Saturday night's in. The liver was obviously the most surprising. The front end of the flavor was definitely honey with a little hit of lemon, and the back end was 100% liver. It really wasn't that bad until I felt like I was eating frozen pate. If that thought didn't cross my mind, I would have enjoyed it.